So Thor Love and Thunder is a really great Marvel movie, but I do feel like they played it really safe, as they could have and should have just gone even bigger and better with this movie. And ultimately, I do feel like it is a little bit forgettable, and I'm going to be explaining why in this spoiler review of Thor Love and Thunder. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video, we are going to be talking about all of our spoiler thoughts on Thor Love and Thunder, explaining the ending and talking also about the future based on those post-credit scenes as well. But first of all, let's start with the characters. So Chris Hemsworth absolutely nails it once again as the Thor character, an absolutely charismatic true leader. And actually so many characters do want to follow this character, so I feel like from a leadership point of view, this character is really cool. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, I do feel like they have made this character a little bit of a buffoon at points, and he really is a bit of a laughing stock as people are laughing at him as opposed to with him. And like I said in my non-spoiler review as well, I do much prefer it when this character is interacting with all of the other Avengers characters, as over there he is balancing his comedy and drama really well. However, in the Thor movies, I just feel like, especially after Ragnarok, they have dumbed this character down quite considerably, which is a bit of a shame, as this character is supposed to be such an epic character, especially in the comic books. But that being said, Chris Hemsworth just brings so much to this character that you can't help but love him at the same time. And I just feel like he is an absolute boss on the battlefield, so powerful and brilliant villain to have Gorr the God Butcher against Thor. I'm really excited as well in terms of Thor 5, as we'll also have Hercules, who will really be able to match Thor, both in terms of on the battlefield as well. I wonder if also they'll make that character a bit comedic as well. And both of these characters have got bigger, massive, powerful father figures as well, in terms of Zeus and Odin as well. So Hercules versus Thor will be absolutely outstanding. And I loved all of the sequences between Mjolnir coming back in the same way that Jane Foster came back. So Thor's reaction to both of these characters returning was really cool. And then seeing Stormbreaker's reaction as well with Thor, and the way in which Thor was calming Stormbreaker down was absolutely outstanding. Speaking of the villain, I think Christian Bale just absolutely nails it as the Gorr character. Loved the way in which they really did explain Gorr's backstory, and really does give him fuel and motivation for really hating gods, as he just put so much faith into them. And when this was rejected and really disappointing this character, and when he was corrupted from the Necrosword speaking to him, he just went full dark mode and now wants to wipe out all of the god characters. So actually this character is pretty devastating in terms of the pure carnage and annihilation that this character wants to execute. And I just feel like Christian Bale just played all of those dark aspects of this character so well. Actually, the Gorr character has so much emotional range, and I feel like Christian Bale just plays all of that really well. Like I also said in my non-spoiler review, I loved the horror sequence when Gorr was just taking off his cape and was just demanding and manipulating Thor into summoning Stormbreaker so that he can then use this to go to eternity. I just feel like that horror sequence is so good. I just wish we would have gotten more from it, not just in terms of that one sequence, but just also multiple sequences with the Gorr character just really in his dark demonic shadow world. But like, it could have been really cool, as this character was a true horror-based character in the comic books, and they did somewhat make him a little bit comedic in this movie, and I just feel like it could have benefited even more from a darker tone. But that being said, Gorr was really good in this movie, played brilliantly by Christian Bale. Similarly, it was really great to have Natalie Portman return into the Thor world as the Jane Foster character, and then transforming her into Mighty Thor, because she is worthy of Mjolnir, and especially as Chris Hemsworth Thor character told Mjolnir to look after her years ago. This is why she was able to turn into Thor, but obviously being able to do that is depleting her human energy, which she needs, as of course she is obviously suffering from cancer. So I thought the way in which they were just interweaving this storyline in terms of the wider storyline was really good. And of course, from a comic book point of view, the Mighty Thor storyline is really beloved. So it was really great to see it on screen. Absolutely loved Kat Dennings being back too. I was ashamed there was only one scene, as his character was so good in WandaVision, and I wish we would have gotten even more sequences between this character and Jane Foster as well. I'm sure that there were more filmed, but a lot of scenes are now on the cutting room floor. In terms of the Mighty Thor though, I do feel like they could have and should have made this character even more cooler, as in terms of her presence alone, it wasn't sufficient. I mean, her entrance was really, really wicked, especially the way in which Chris Hemsworth Thor character was reacting to this. But after that, I don't feel like they were able to match that brilliant entrance with the Thor character. But that being said, I did love all of the double act sequences in terms of Thor and Mighty Thor, and the way in which together they were working really, really well together, even though actually they've never really worked well together in terms of on the battlefield, as they've never had to work together. So it was really, really cool to kind of see those two sequences. And in terms of right at the end of this movie, it was absolutely wicked in terms of the way in which Jane Foster's Mighty Thor just entered the match against Gorr and really did help out the Thor character to ultimately defeat him. Okay, so now let's talk about the ending. So I think Thor and Mighty Thor definitely do demonstrate that they are really, really superior on the battlefield, but are also really, really emotionally intelligent as well, as they were able to convince the Gorr character to not wipe everybody out when he had his wish with eternity, but instead were able to convince him to bring back his dead daughter, which then led to Thor becoming a dad, which we've never really seen happening in the comic books. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the Thor character is going to be a bit of a parental figure to Gorr's daughter, and I'm really intrigued also to see whether or not she is going to be exactly the same as she was when she died, in terms of is this returning character from the dead going to have a bit of a demonic aspect to her, or is the Thor character going to be able to make her really, really pure and good as well? And the ending also shows that Thor has Mjolnir back, as he has given Stormbreaker to his new daughter, Love. And it did remind me a lot actually of Batman and Robin, in terms of Batman being this big, massive, older character, and having a true younger character with him as well. Very similarly as well to also the Logan movie, which does have an older character with a bit of a really true young apprentice. And in some respects also really similar to Star Wars Episode 1 in terms of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn having this really, really young apprentice in Anakin Skywalker. And we all know how that story ends. And we also have two characters seemingly being killed off as well. The Gorr character got killed off, and also Jane Foster's Mighty Thor got killed off. Or did they? I mean, these two characters are so good, we are definitely going to hopefully see them once again as well. And the second post-credit scene definitely does show that Jane Foster could well be returning, but I'll talk about that in a moment. And we also have another brand new character being introduced, and a being being introduced as well, Eternity, who is able to manipulate reality in a similar way, I guess, to how Wanda can do it, and is able to grant wishes, and is really, really interesting, as this phase 4, has just introduced so many worlds, so many beings, so many new characters, so many new things that are happening in the wider MCU world. And now we have another one being introduced in this movie. I mean, it wouldn't be a new installment for the MCU if they weren't introducing another new concept, another new realm, another new world, another new massive super being as well. So now let's talk about the post-credit scene. So the first one shows that Zeus survived being impaled by his lightning bolt. So many characters from a Star Wars and Marvel point of view are surviving brutal impalements which should kill them. So for example, from Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series, very recently Reva got stabbed by Darth Vader, and she also stabbed the Grand Inquisitor, and all of these characters are seemingly being able to survive. But I mean, Zeus maybe has a bit of an advantage in terms of being this ultra super powered god as well. And understandably, he has got a vendetta for Thor, and he is enraged, so he is asking his son Hercules to go out and hunt him and ultimately kill him. And actually Hercules and Thor have battled out a number of times in the comic books, but not only that, Hercules has also interacted with a lot of other Marvel characters, so it'd be really, really wicked to see what the future could hold with this character. And also, as obviously all of the Asgardians and Asgard have been destroyed over the last couple of movies, we now have all of these new Greek gods. So obviously first we had Norse gods, now we've got Greek gods, and now we've also got Olympus as well. So I feel like they're somewhat rebooting all of the Thor stuff with Hercules, with Zeus, and I'm really, really excited to see what the future could hold with all of these massive big battle sequences. Maybe Zeus is going to get over his anger, and maybe he's going to calm down a little bit, and then maybe he'll be a bit of a parental figure to Thor, and maybe Thor and Hercules could ultimately become friends again, and could mirror the relationship that Thor used to have with Loki. And then we have the second post-credit scene where we see the Jane Foster character being reborn in Valhalla, where she meets Heimdall, and maybe this means that she is able to return back to Earth as well, as in the comic books this has happened, and then she became a Valkyrie with really, really cool super base powers in terms of being able to predict when somebody is going to die, having the all weapon, which is a little bit like Green Lantern in terms of being able to wield it in terms of whatever she wants it to be, which could be really, really cool. And maybe other characters she's going to meet in Valhalla, maybe she's going to meet the redeemed Loki from the start of Infinity War, and then we'll have even more Loki variants, as of course we have the other Loki from another universe in the Loki series. Maybe we'll get another Loki and more Lokis as well running around in the MCU. And I'm just really interested to see which other new characters are going to introduce and also return in Thor 5, as Thor Love and Thunder did bring back a lot of older legacy characters as well, for example Sif. So I'm really intrigued to also see whether or not Heimdall, Jane Foster, Loki will all also return in Thor Love and Thunder. As I don't know about you, but I really miss Loki's presence in a Thor movie, so it'd be really wicked to hopefully have him in Thor 5. The in-world actors were just absolute gold. The reenactment of Odin's death and Hela's entrance from Thor Ragnarok by these in-world actors was just absolutely hilarious. So Matt Damon, Sam Neill and Luke Hemsworth, the brother to Chris Hemsworth, being joined by Melissa McCarthy. Oh my god, everybody in my cinema complex were just bursting out laughing, as that sequence was just absolutely hilarious, so comedic and really did laugh at itself and was just absolutely brilliant. I just can't wait to hopefully see what they're going to be doing in Thor 5, as they were just so good. The Guardians of the Galaxy weren't in this movie for that long, which I think was fine, as they were just there to kind of continue and link this movie with the end of Endgame, where obviously Thor was now with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and we'll then kind of see what happens with these characters next in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I would have loved there to have been even more banter between Star-Lord and the Thor characters. I absolutely loved this in Infinity War. So I feel like Thor Love and Thunder definitely did have some emotional moments. I feel like they could have pulled that even more though, to really tug on the heartstrings. Maybe they're saving that for Thor 5, as this movie could be a bit of a bridging movie for that film, as then from a Taika Waititi point of view, he's obviously started his trilogy and Ragnarok. His second movie is obviously Thor Love and Thunder, and maybe in the fifth and final movie from his trilogy perspective at least, maybe that's where he's going to be pulling the heartstrings even more and really having massive action sequences and true emotional moments as well. Speaking of Thor 5, I feel like they've laid the groundwork for a brilliant movie. So for example, we're definitely going to get Thor versus Hercules, but maybe like I said, we're also going to be getting even more bigger returning characters in terms of Valkyrie now coming back through Jane Foster's character, maybe Heimdall, maybe Loki's going to come down, maybe Beta Ray Bill will finally make his live action debut as well. Maybe they're also going to have Zeus having a bigger appearance and a bigger character presence in there as well. There were also some cut appearances from Peter Dinklage, Jeff Goldblum and Lena Headey as well, so maybe they're saving all of their character appearances for Thor 5 too. But you know, I did love Thor Love and Thunder. I feel like from a storyline point of view, this movie is really strong from all of the new characters that they introduced, and the growth that they had for the existing characters was really wicked. The Shadow Realm was really cool, the Eternity character was really wicked, and just the stakes in terms of all of the god characters potentially being destroyed and wiped out by Gorr the God Butcher, who seemed truly unstoppable and truly corrupted and really dark through the Necrosword, and the way in which he was so decolored and desaturated because he's gone pure evil as well, aesthetically looked really wicked. And you know, I did love the ambition that this movie had, and the wacky style that Taika Waititi definitely has his blueprints on was conveyed really well. But for me, it just felt like they did rush a lot of things, and I feel like if they had made this movie even longer, it could have been even bigger, better and bolder for sure. I mean, there are rumours of a 4-hour cut of Thor Love and Thunder. I feel like that definitely should be released, as it will definitely give this movie justice. But you know, I did really enjoy this film. They definitely should have gone bigger with it, but like I said in my non-spoiler review, I feel like it definitely does deserve a 6.5 score out of 10. But now I'd love to hear what you thought of Thor Love and Thunder. Let me know in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.